Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Board of Trustee meeting Wednesday, June 14th, 2023 or 2023. Karen, can you call the roll?
Trustee Broderick,
Present.
Trustee Garcia-Guillen,
Present.
Trustee Harris,
Present.
Trustee Lee,
Here.
Trustee Mahalik,
Present.
Trustee Morales,
Here.
Trustee Ellis,
Present.
Trustee Bazinski.
Present. I'd like to welcome everybody. I know we have a full room here. I haven't met everyone yet, but we do welcome you here on campus to spend some time with us tonight. And we're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Trustee Garcia-Guillen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is.
Yeah. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Karen, do we have any public comments?
None that I'm aware of.
Uh, 1.05 communications.
We do have communications. We have State's Attorney James Glasgow is here. Would you like to come up to the podium, please?
And as the state's attorney is making his way, Chairman, if I may, just want to provide a little bit of context, give a big shout out to Chief Campbell. I understand he's making his way to the podium as well. State's attorney, along with Joliet Junior College, has funded the flock cameras, and I'm sure the state's attorney is going to tell you all about it, and Chief Campbell is going to tell you all about it. A great partnership that keeps all of our employees and our students safer and places the safety and security of the entire college community front and center.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yep.
Yeah, these flock cameras, I believe you already have 7 of them installed here on campus, and it's not Big Brother spying on anybody. These cameras are geared to pick up stolen cars. Also, if you have someone who's banned from the campus, that license plate can be entered into the system, and you'll get instantly notified of the presence. We had a case just recently where there was a carjacking on Diversity Parkway in Chicago, Illinois, and the state police picked him up on a flock camera on the interstate and gave chase. He made the big mistake of fleeing into Will County. And I remember from law school that your crime is not complete until you made a complete escape. And so he made his escape into Will County. We wound up convicting him of the carjacking on Diversity Parkway in Chicago. And he did make a motion to have his case transferred back to Chicago, whereas we know that the law has not been enforced the way it should be. And again, this person had an extensive criminal record. After conviction, he received a 22-year sentence. And he had made the comment when he was being arrested in Shorewood, he says, "I'll be out by Sunday." And then they said, "No, you're not. You're in Will County. Where there's a will, there's a way." So it's also my middle name, to make it completely corny. But the bottom line is we're just using common sense here. And these cameras will assist you and then other law enforcement agencies if anyone should flee onto your campus. So safety is number one. And also your dog Storm, I understand we're assisting in getting him some training as a therapy dog. That's one of the things. We've got 13 dogs that I've been able to provide to municipalities across the county using our drug forfeiture funds. And I don't see a better use of those funds than plowing them back into the community for the community's safety. And the one thing you'll find, and you see it already, the PR, the positive PR you get from Storm. Everybody wants to see Storm, pet Storm, play with Storm. And he's got a wonderful personality, although he's big enough to do whatever else you need him to do. So again, thanks so much for having us. We've got a monopoly check here to present for 2 of the flock cameras, 2 of the 7 that you already have.
Yeah,
I
of
get
course.
that in there.
Of course. Of course. One more.
Storm wasn't smiling. Do it again.
Well, thank you for your support of our students, our community, our employees. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Next item on the agenda is 1.06. The chair's request for a closed session for discussions under 2C1, 2C2, 2C5, 2C11. And I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Karen, can you call the roll?
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Aye.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik?
Yes.
Trustee Ellis?
Yes.
Trustee Bazinski?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do you have a motion to return to session?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Oh, aye. Sorry.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Lee?
He's coming right behind us.
Okay, we'll come back. Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik?
Yes.
Trustee Ellis?
Yes.
Trustee Bazinski?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 1.1, a moment of silence.
Chairman, thank you. I'm asking the college community to join us in a moment of silence tonight for the following individuals. First, Brian Kissel, husband of Karen Kissel, our Vice President for Finance and Administrative Services. Dolores Kiss, mother-in-law of Noel Kiss, a specialist in disability services. Luis Vesley, mother of Sandra Barrera, specialist in radiologic, veterinary, med tech, admissions and recruitment. Grace Boyle, a JJC employee for 23 and a half years as an office assistant in iCampus. Thomas Nowak, a student of JJC. And Richard Bosma, father of Brenna Bosma-Crass, specialist in our Student Advising Center.
One point two, selected reports. 1.2.1, Board of Trustee approval of Juneteenth proclamation. Dr. Escortina Urban.
Good evening, Chairman Bazinski, trustees of the board, and members of the community. My name is Escortina Urban, and I am the Chief Equity Officer. I will be reading the proclamation for Juneteenth. Whereas on June 19th, 1865, Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger landed in Galveston, Texas, with news that the war had ended and that the remaining enslaved Blacks in Texas were free nearly 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation and 2 months after the end of the Civil War. And whereas with those words, our country changed, and we have continued to change, striving always to make it right and to make it better for all. And whereas while these words created a legal meaning to continue to fight for equality, equality remains a distant reality. And whereas the observation of Juneteenth is about the journey of Black Americans from a horrific period of enslavement to blessed freedom. And whereas today we celebrate incremental progress with this resolution, recognizing and celebrating the moment when emancipation reached the last enslaved part of the Confederacy in Texas. And whereas Juneteenth celebrates pride, resistance, and determination that all will always be a historic and spiritual significance. And whereas as we look back for over 150 years of progress, we honor those who have come before us. We remember those who lost their lives, and we remember those who collectively paved the road to freedom. And whereas we pay tribute to this journey, we acknowledge the many roles and contributions of the Black spirit in our society. And whereas we embrace the past and we embrace the future, nothing that only occurs with unity, respect. And whereas Joliet Junior College celebrates Juneteenth and celebrates the freedom of Black brothers and sisters. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of Trustees of Illinois Community College District 525, Joliet Junior College, counties of Will, Grundy, Kendall, LaSalle, Kankakee, Livingston, and Cook, state of Illinois, hereby recognizes and designates the 19th of June as Juneteenth Day in Illinois Community District number 525. Thank you.
Have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
1.2.2, recognition of retiring Monique Freeman. Dr. Amy Gray.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Chairman Budzinski, trustees of the board, and the JJC community. It is my honor, my pleasure to recognize Monique Freeman for 7 years of service to JJC. She's retiring as an office assistant 1 in the library.
1.2.3, recognition of retiree Susan Dozer.
Again, my pleasure, my honor to recognize Susan Dozier. Susan has been at JJC for 8 years and is retiring as a recruitment specialist in the career and technical department.
And the third one, recognition of retiree Kathleen Rouge.
And Kathleen Ruge for 15 years of service to Joliet Junior College. She's retiring as an adjunct instructor in our adult education department.
And I need a motion to approve all 3 recognitions.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
1.2.5, strategic enrollment management update. Dean Bob Morris.
Chairman, if I may, I'm going to toss it to Roberto in just a second. I want to highlight a couple of things as Dean Morris is making his way to the podium here. Now, this board has heard from Dean Morris a number of times. Something that maybe hasn't been celebrated enough is that we've been up in enrollment in the spring. You'll see the details of that. We're currently up in enrollment in both headcount and full-time student enrollment. That should be celebrated. And in the fall, albeit maybe a little too early to celebrate, nonetheless, we're going to celebrate. We're up in both headcount and credit hour production as well. And as we kind of start to shift our focus from simply enrollment as a metric, mind you, we're still incentivized to obsess about enrollment and the number of students we bring in the door. We're starting to see a nationwide trend that I plan to support in a number of different ways, but that's yet to come, around the students leaving as well, right? So I'm talking specifically about retention, persistence, and completion numbers. We're seeing states across the country adopt performance-based measures more and more. Most recently, the state of Texas adopted a 100% performance-based measure. Historically, in the past, they've been 10% based on performance-based metrics. Now they've kind of moved to metrics that are based solely on retention, persistence, completion. So I invite the board to embrace a more holistic look, a more perhaps nuanced approach to strategic enrollment management, one that will coincide with a competing obsession around retention, persistence, and completion. Some things to celebrate, and Bob, I hope I'm not stealing too much of your thunder, but I just can't help it. New to JJC students, Bob's going to do a much better job of providing some of the details. New to JJC students, up. Minority population enrollment, up. Young student population, up significantly. And we're seeing students back on our campuses in our physical location. So Bob, I promise I'll stop there, but let me kind of hand it over to VP Valadez because I know he wants to add some things and some context before you start.
Thank you, Dr. Namuo. Good evening, Chairman Botinski, trustees of the board, Dr. Namuo, and JJC community. As President Namuo outlined, a lot of our states are transitioning to a performance-based funding. My previous organization in California, the statewide transition happened around 2017. So we're trying to get ahead of the ball and making sure that we create initiatives that will increase our retention, persistence, and completion. And one of the things that I like to outline in our report, although we are up, the adult learner market is the one that we need to focus on. And we will prepare a report for the board and do a deeper dive. But really, that's an area that it's exploding, and it's an area that we really need to target. And with that, it's going to be resources. But Dean Morris will be sharing more about our current enrollment and the trends. But I look forward to presenting to the board at a later point a plan to increase our metrics in those areas. Thank you. Dean Morris.
Well, thank you. Chairman Budzinski, trustees of the board, members of the JJC community. Most of you know my name is Bob Morris. I'm the Dean of Enrollment Management here at the college. I've just finished my 5th year of service to JJC and couldn't be more excited about what we've accomplished and more importantly, where we're headed. So this evening, I want to just take a very brief look back at some key data points from spring, a little bit of a current review of where we are with summer, early numbers for fall. But as President Namuo said, I really want to take some time and introduce to you the college's 4th Strategic Enrollment Management Plan. Vice President Valadez and I are putting just the finishing touches on it, but I feel confident tonight to at least introduce sort of the beginning of that journey, and then I will specifically talk a little bit about retention, persistence, and completion as well. But just to step back briefly, some of the demographics, they're very similar. We saw some trends emerging in the fall with the younger students increasing, the minority populations increasing. That was also reflective in the spring. One of the things that did change a little bit, the average age of our students did go down. In the fall, it was 23.4 years of age. In the spring, it was 22.8. So not a huge shift, but a significant shift nonetheless. In terms of the enrollment breakdown and where the students are coming from, pretty consistent. In the fall, 21% of the students came from Joliet and 15 came from Plainfield. So you can see a little bit of a shift, 19.7% from Joliet in the spring, and a little bit of a bump, 16.3% in Plainfield, and a total of 51.4% of the students coming from those top areas. The spring census report that I know all of you got, it is not, as you already know, a reflection of the true reflection of the term, the spring term. It is a snapshot 10 days into the semester. So you saw the downward arrows. At the 10th day, we were down 6.6% in headcount, 2.7% in full-time equivalencies. I will say those are the only downward arrows you're going to see for the rest of my presentation, which is a good thing. Where we ended up at the end of the term, after all of the dual credit had been entered, after all of the late start classes had begun, you see that we had an increase in headcount and we had also an increase in tuition credit hours. Some other spring highlights, our Latinx population was up 6.4%, African American population up 4.2%, and our total minority populations were up as well. Opening day for summer. Summer's always the one term that I say is the most unpredictable, because you have a lot of what we call transient guest students coming in. They're pursuing a degree somewhere else. They're coming here to take a class or two over the summer. So you never really know year to year what you might see for summer. But what was really interesting, and I'll go into some more when I talk about persistence, is the summer numbers were really significantly up. Look at the minority populations in the summer, up 27%. New students up 47%. Headcount up, as you've heard before, full-time equivalencies up as well. So the summer term, although we're still within the summer term in terms of classes going on, I feel really good about where we landed with enrollment in the summer. And with the fall enrollment, again, as Dr. Mo said, very early in the process. We don't start classes until August 21st, but the numbers are certainly encouraging. Up 365 students over the same date last year. Up almost 10% in credit hours. Minority populations still increasing. New students still increasing. We're seeing a lot of positive trends, and we hope that those continue. But as you've also heard, it's not just getting them in the door, it's getting them through, and it's getting them all the way through graduation. So we sunsetted the third strategic enrollment management plan this past spring. And in the fall, we will launch the college's fourth strategic enrollment management plan. Now, I'm not prepared tonight because, again, VP Valadez and I still have to put a few finishing touches on it. But I do want to tell you how excited I am about the fourth strategic enrollment management plan, and here's why. When the third plan was written, it was a very small group of people that really were the authors of that plan. It was a good plan, but then COVID hit and it changed everything around. This time, what we did is we started in August, and the Strategic Enrollment Management Committee, 25 members from across the campus, faculty represented, staff represented, dual credit, everybody was represented. Everybody had a voice. And the most encouraging thing to me was everybody used that voice. So in August, we landed on these 5 pillars that we thought were the most important to focus on for the fourth strategic enrollment management plan. And they're listed up there. Admissions and recruiting, the student experience from onboarding all the way through graduation, non-credit and extended campuses, academic excellence, and marketing. And what we did was we assigned team leads for each of those areas that were subject matter experts in those areas, and they formed subgroups. And each month at the Strategic Enrollment Management Committee meeting, they would give a presentation on what they felt the goals should be going forward for their specific area. They were lively discussions. Everybody was invested in it. And I will be very, very excited to present a more detailed version of the plan in the coming months. But for now, those are the areas that we're focusing on. So when we're looking at the student experience, we're looking at things like onboarding, retention and completion, student life and support services, and student health and wellness. And obviously our goals and objectives are to increase those persistence rates, those retention rates, and those graduation rates. And we have very specific goals for each of those. Onboarding is a really important component, and sometimes there's a misconception that onboarding just means getting somebody who applied to enroll. While that's a part of it, onboarding is much more than that. Onboarding is setting up that first-time student for success so that they succeed, so that they build their confidence, and so that they persist to the next term and then enroll for the next year. That's how important onboarding is. And to that point, what we're doing now is looking at every step along the way. There's an onboarding task force that has been created, and we are looking at every step that a student takes, and we're identifying where exactly the barriers are, and then we're trying to fix those barriers, to remove those barriers. So the onboarding component is a really important part of retention. And then retention and completion, I'd like to talk about that for a little bit now. What we understand with retention and completion is there's a lot of things that can contribute to a student staying with us or contributing to a student leaving us. And what we want to do is really do deeper dives into the data and really look at all of those areas, from advising to academic intervention and support, from mental health and wellness, all of those things. And we're going to really shift them make them different, make them better, make them better for the students. So these are just a small sample of some of the things we'll be working on for our retention and persistence and completion efforts. We're looking at those new onboarding processes. We're looking at making the process simple. We're making sure that the students know what's next. We've talked at length about going out into the high schools and meeting students where they are. That's part of that. That's the beginning part of that. We're looking at academic intervention strategies. We want to know when students are struggling before they begin to struggle, so that we can kind of step in and say, hey, did you know we have these services available to you? Do you know that we've got these resources available to you? And we're also looking at the advising model. That the advising is so much more than just helping a student pick out their classes. It's helping that student build their confidence. It's making them feel comfortable here, making them feel wanted here. So the advising model is another thing that we're really looking very closely at to make improvements at. One of the things too is we want to look at the stop out data. Now, there's been rumors going around that I kind of like to do deep dives into data. I just like to say that those rumors are absolutely true. But when we're looking at stop out data, it's not enough to say, well, last term we had, 100 students not come back. Let's call them. Let's see if we can get them back. Those are very reactive measures. What we want to do is proactively look at the data, find out who's stopping out. Look at all the demographics by age, gender, ethnicity. Find out if there are patterns, find out if there are trends, find out if there are specific points of intervention that will allow us to help those students and to help them stay. There's so much going on. Now, with retention and persistence, those numbers usually come out annually, what our retention rates are. But there are some data points that I get weekly that I think some of them are worth sharing, because I think they show that we are moving the needle in a positive direction. Each week I get a report from institutional research, and it breaks the student groups down into what I call buckets. And one of the buckets that I've been paying extra close attention to, especially recently, is it's called students continuing from prior term, meaning students who are enrolled in fall that re-enrolled in spring and re-enrolled in summer, re-enrolled in fall. And let me just share a couple of points of data with you, because again, I think it's important so that you can see that we are making some strides. At the census report in the spring, we were up 124 students in that category, students continuing from the prior term. So we were up in students that were enrolled in fall that re-enrolled in spring. Now, in terms of students who were enrolled in spring who re-enrolled in summer, this year we were up 144 students, which is a 4.6% increase. And for students who are enrolled in summer who already re-enrolled for fall, we are currently up 319 students, which is a 9.4% increase. Again, it's early data, but it's important data, and it's data that we can monitor weekly to kind of see, where are we at? And it allows us to then shift some strategies so that we know at what points in the semester should we do some targeted outreach to get those students to re-enroll for the next semester. Down the line, I'd like to look at a system where we could enroll students for multiple terms at the same time. We're not there yet, but I'd like to consider that at some point. So a lot going on in enrollment. Again, very, very exciting things that are happening. And I think that as time goes by, we're going to be able to move the needle because of the strategies that we are putting in place and that we do plan to put in place. And the last thing I want to mention is just how important some of the other factors are related to student retention. And one of the most important ones is the mental health component. This is not news. Everybody knows this, that students are very much struggling from the pandemic on, and even now, more so now, with their mental health. So one of the things that we're really going to continue to focus on is the great work that Dean Vasquez Barrios is doing along with the wellness advocates, making sure that students are aware of these resources, because if we can help them become better people, overcome some of their challenges, we think that they'll be more successful as students as well. First, we want to help them as people, but as students, we also want them to succeed as well. And then it's not just about the students. We want to make sure that our staff, that our faculty, that everybody at JJC is knowledgeable about this so that they can recognize when a student may be struggling and they can maybe help steer them towards the right resources. Retention is just about, it's anything that a student might experience that will keep them here. And there are so many things. So again, this is just a very small snapshot, but in respect for everybody's time, I just wanted to provide you that glimpse of where we're headed. So a lot of positive numbers tonight, and I think a lot of excitement about where we're headed going forward. So that is my update for this evening. At this time, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Trustee Harris, do you have any questions for Dean Morris?
No, I don't.
Trustee Lee?
No.
Trustee Broderick?
I do. In regards to enrollment, do we have any on-site people at the high school levels? Because we're looking to gather enrollment, and I know you're giving us statistics of where the enrollment has been, but I know we talked about in previous meetings last year with the last year's board about having people, counselors sitting at the high school levels, because I know just watching my own nephew who went to Joliet Central, because he was able to do dual credit with us and AP classes, him going back in the fall for his as he would say, his sophomore year, he's going to be considered a first semester junior. So you have a lot that you gain from that. And I've seen in our expense report a lot of traveling to the schools for counselors, for meeting, for recruitments. Is there any way we can get a feel for what you guys are doing in the preliminary stages to see what you're doing to gather those sources to come into us?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. And I'm excited about the question for this very reason. First of all, quick answer, yes. We have people actually in the high schools holding office hours. So yes, we're doing that. But one of the things, and this is really hot off the presses, Dr. Farmer, Dr. Newell may not even know about this yet, but we are forming what I call a recruitment council. What we realized is that there are different groups around campus that are frequently visiting high schools. We have individuals from our CMOS office, our Multicultural Access and Success office. We obviously have people from admissions. We have academic departments out recruiting in the high schools. We have dual credit that's going to be out recruiting in the high schools. What this council will do is it will allow us to create a recruiting calendar. And it will allow us to open the lines of communication and collaboration so everybody will know where everybody is and where they're going. And it also allows us to help each other out. So if there's a big event and two events are happening at the same time, they can go to the council and say, hey, I need some help with this. And it can be about efficiency. It can be about more collaboration. And I think it will help the counselors at the high schools because they'll better know what we're doing. And I think it will make the recruiting process much better. I just talked to VP Valadez about that 20 minutes before the meeting started today. So these things.
ESP.
So again, I appreciate the question. But yes, we're doing those things.
What high schools are we in? Because I know when I went to the Lockport High School meeting and I talked to one of the counselors there, they were welcoming, and this was last year, they were welcoming us to come into the school to have a little office, a little small office, more like a closet, but at least to have an office.
It's funny what happens at the high schools. We struggled getting in for years. They didn't want us to do that. But when one high school decides to do that,
they follow.
They follow. So last year, I believe Joliet Central was the first to say, come on, hold office hours here. And now we're getting those types of requests, which even creates more need for that collaboration because we're limited in our resources, but we have various departments that are out there doing the outreach. So that's why the collaboration and the creating of that joint recruiting calendar is so important.
And do you do anything with the sports? Because now that we have so many sport things, talking to the athletic directors at the high school seems to have a good draw to let them express to the kids. Here we have a counselor that can tell you what JJC has for more sports now, which would draw the enrollment in. So I'm just looking at things that I know would draw my kids in So I'm just asking.
Absolutely. And under one of the 5 pillars, the admissions and recruiting, one of the subgroups or areas of focus, I call it, under that is athletics.
Athletics.
So we are doing much more with athletics in the high schools to get it, not just to understand what their needs are, but to promote to their students, to their student athletes, what a great opportunity they would have here. So absolutely, we're doing those things.
And are you into the Catholic schools too, JCA and Providence?
I would need to double check on that. I don't know if we are currently, but that is certainly in our plans.
Because I do know that, I'm an alumni of Providence. I know that you can get in there, and I do know the principal of JCA. So if you need some help getting in, I would be glad to assist. And thank you.
Appreciate it.
Trustee Morales.
Yes, real quick, in the interest of time. You mentioned the stop out data. You're going to be collecting data for stop out students. When you have that, could you share what I'm sure you will share what you gathered, but then how will you then use it? Just keep us in mind on, I'm really curious to see what comes out of that stop out data. And then second thing, I have ladies in the community that call me and say, hey, my grandson is considering JJC. When is your step up day? They used to do step up days in the 80s and 90s. So I don't think we do step up days. Right. So I don't know, people how easy is it for a student to come in and get a tour? Because I don't think that exists. I think we have the, it's another event that we have, Visit JJC or something.
Discover JJC.
That one, yes. I think that replaced Step Up Days.
It did. However, tours are available anytime somebody wants one. It's just, and they can even schedule them through our website and the admissions page, or just call the admissions office. We love giving tours because that's what really helps sell the institution.
Right. Okay. I'll just refer them to log online or call someone, because a lot of people are still not tech savvy.
Yeah.
But,
And I
okay.
tell the admissions team, I said, never turn down a tour, even if I have to give it. I may not know everything, but I will gladly give a tour because I'm excited about JJC and where I work, and I want to share that. So
Good. And then lastly, so I know a lot of students do apply for FAFSA because somebody told them and they do, but we have a lot that don't. I'm wondering if we connect with those students and motivate them and ask them to please apply, even if you don't get it, but to apply, because a lot would be surprised that they would qualify. And right now with the inflation rates that we're seeing, tuition is expensive it's just another expense for people, but with the inflation, every little bit helps. People that did not apply for FAFSA, maybe we could look at running a report and seeing, if we can support these students with their finances.
yeah, I completely agree. And especially with the governor's new plan.
Yes.
There are so many more funds available now than there ever were.
Absolutely. Yep.
So it's so important, so critically important for them to submit the FAFSA. So I completely agree with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Garcia again.
Yes, thank you. Just wanted to thank you for the wonderful presentation, and also I was pleasantly surprised on the numbers for the summer. So thank you for all your work, and I look forward to getting more information about other initiatives and how the implementation it works out and how we can support. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Trustee Mahal.
I don't have any questions at all. I just want to say thank you again. Continue good work, Bob. And I'd like to see the spreadsheet that you have in front of you, because I'm sure there's a lot of formulas in there, which I'm a spreadsheet geek myself.
You can only imagine.
So sounds good. Thanks again, Bob. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And Trustee Ellis.
I would just like to say thank you. A lot of the topics that you discussed were things that students actually talk to me about. So thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Item 1.2.6, the 12 by 12 by 12 update with Dr. Amy Gray.
Chairman, if I may, I just want to give Bob another shout out under VP Valada's leadership. Just some fantastic work, really nuanced, complex work to bring more students into our college, and just appreciate all of their efforts. So Chairman Budzinski and members of the board and members of the JJC community, we're providing today an update on 12 by 12 by 12, which since the board supported the tuition modification to $12 per credit, has really taken off. So much so that it's buzzing among the trustees at the state level. You'll hear a little bit from Dr. Gray today. She sent me a text that it's buzzing. She's not here right now physically. She's at the Illinois Community College Chief Academic Officers retreat, and 12 by 12 by 12 is all they can talk about right now. So really just wanted to thank the board for your support of this really important initiative. All the rationale behind it remains. What I want the board to gain an appreciation of is all the work that's being done to support, actually, operationalize the vision. While I can claim the vision, I can't be in every room everywhere. So I just want to send a huge shout out to the leadership for operationalizing this vision. You're going to hear a lot about that today. The pieces of technology we've put in place, the individuals we've put in place, the resources that we've allocated to make all of this happen. So again, board, thank you for your support. And Dr. Gray, if you're there, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you very much, Dr. Namuo. Today, I noticed on the agenda at the summer retreat for the Illinois CAOs that just dual credit was on the agenda. And I'm like, great, I want to hear what they have to say and kind of what they're doing. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, within the first 5 minutes, all questions in the room were directed at me, and it was all due to 12 by 12 by 12. And I have to say, there was quite a glimmer of pride, really, that all CAOs in that room knew what JJC was doing and looking to us for just ideas and being very interested in this vision of having more students in Illinois, because Dr. Namuo has stressed that it's, of course, we want them to come to JJC, but really the overall goal is to have a higher number of high school students going into higher education in the state of Illinois. So it has been a really, of course, busy time, and operationally, this team led by Dr. Mackey and Missy Gillis, who is our manager of dual credit and P20 partnerships, they have done amazing work, made great strides. And I will say a lot of this has been made possible, though, by the extra efforts gone into helping us honestly repair in some situations, but definitely greater strengthen our relationships with the leadership at the high school. So I want to thank Dr. Namuo for that, for consistently working on this with every single superintendent in our district. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Missy, who will give you the details that go into this program so you can see how far it's come so far.
Good evening. My name is Missy Gillis, and I am the manager of dual credit and P through 20 partnerships, and it is a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity. Just to recap, 12 by 12 by 12 initiative that you've all been presented to, this has been presented to you before. Just to recap, what we're doing is we're encouraging all the students in the Joliet Junior College District to earn 12 credit hours by the end of 12th grade, and they'll be paid $12 per credit hour. That'll begin in the fall of 2023. So what we've been doing over the last several months is just getting everything in place to have that begin in the fall of 2023. So to share Dr. Namuo's vision, basically what we're doing with 12 by 12 by 12 is impacting college going rates across the district. And we're going to do that by improving and enhancing relationships with our partner high school districts. For those of you that don't know, I began my position in September, and I spent the majority of my time listening to a lot of folks, to going to meetings like Trees, to talking to superintendents and folks that would call me on the phone and give me a lot of opportunity for change. So that was very positive. Also, I wanted to add this quote in here for something that I read in an article, Popularity of Dual Credit Programs to Rise in Illinois, because they notated a JJC student, Michelle Escobedo, and she's 19. She said she found her path to the culinary arts degree by coming to JJC through taking dual credit at Plainfield High School. So what ends up happening is when you offer these opportunities to students in high school, this may be someone that would have never went into culinary, but she decided to do so because she had this opportunity. So basically what I'm going to do now is give you a laundry list of all of our accomplishments up until this point, and I will start with marketing. So we have been working in close coordination with our wonderful marketing department, and they've created digital ads and geofencing. And yes, I do know what geofencing is. So I found out. And what it basically is you may be walking in the mall and about to go to Starbucks, and then you'll get something on your phone that says you can come and get a cake pop because you're close by. So basically what these digital ads will do is they'll kind of target our students in the local high schools and talk to them about JJC. We've had giveaways, so we've given cups to our dual credit students. We've given little plants to our dual credit instructors, and we have some fun little fidget spinners, and students are always willing to take some of these giveaways, and then not only do they have them, but now they're advertising for 12 by 12 by 12 as well. We have a HubSpot lead page, which is basically just the company that offers this page. And on this page, students have the opportunity to inquire about 12 by 12 by 12, but then we also have a way of tracking them so that we can send them information. We have had a dual credit advisory board, but we also created, due to Dr. Gray's recommendation, a 12 by 12 by 12 advisory board specifically. And so those are people from not only the high schools, but they're people from the community, and they're people from JJC that help advise us on things. So just to give you an example, one of those things is there is a House bill related to students with disabilities and increasing our students with disabilities taking dual credit. So we had Adam Wolk, who's our manager of disability services, come in and speak to the board. So what's nice about having this specific advisory board is because we're pulling people with all different areas of expertise to help us be successful. We have added information on our dual credit webpage, including a frequently asked questions, and then we have a specific 12 by 12 by 12 webpage. Faculty champions, and that is something that is going to be overseen by my supervisor, Dr. Lynn Mackey. And basically, she has put together a diverse group of people to help advise her and be champions for dual credit. And so in other words, in their departments, to go then back to those departments and encourage them to be involved. Improving the registration process. Right now, one of the things we're investigating is talking to all the different stakeholders on campus and seeing, would it be feasible to remove the Social Security number off of our application? Because the feedback that I had been getting consistently from my high schools and Dr. Mackey had been getting is that the Social Security number on the application for dual credit students is a barrier. And it's everything from them not knowing it to maybe not having one, and really impeding the process because of that. As far as it relates to financial aid, they will need that once they become a JJC student. But again, keeping in mind that these are high school students. So just wanted to let you know that that is something that we're investigating right now. Really, really wonderful initiative by the library is they had invited all of the English 101 instructors for dual credit at the high schools to bring their students out and see the library. So now that they know that the library is here, they've also given them some background on how to do research and then also get their student IDs. So we had a huge group on campus, and then we're going to start opening that up to other courses as well. So we're getting students on campus and getting them familiar with the school and being comfortable here in an effort to then have them transition, obviously. We have our faculty liaison program that will be restructured. There's something at the national level called NACEP. It's the National Alliance of Concurrent Enrollment Partnerships, and concurrent enrollment essentially meaning dual credit. And that would be the umbrella organization that would professionalize what we do. And so as a result of 12 by 12 by 12, that's what we're seeking. We're seeking NACEP accreditation. So could we be at the top of those programs? And so in the departments, we're working with all the department chairs and creating this faculty liaison program and restructuring it to meet those NACEP accreditation. I have a friend over at Lockport High School, Lori Cristofaro, and she gave us the opportunity for their professional day to come out actually to JJC and see the business, early childhood, culinary, and technical programs. So when Lockport High School had their professional day for those departments, they chose to come here, which was a wonderful opportunity for the school and for those particular areas. We have now marketing materials in English and Spanish, and the very talented Christy Mulvey gave me the idea, why don't you put English on one side and Spanish on the other and save paper? So we took her idea, and she is very good with money and obviously good with saving money too. So we have our marketing materials now in English and Spanish. We did specific outreach, and I should say targeted outreach, when we had some events on campus recently, including the Black Teen Summit, our Discover JJC Open House, and the Latinx Empowerment Conference. And at the Discover JJC Open House, we had 2 selected times for people to come in for an open house, and we had people at all of those open times. And from my colleagues that have been here in the past, they said when they've had open houses, part of dual credit for Discover JJC, they didn't have anyone. So I think that outreach to that HubSpot clearly worked. As far as a Path Grant partnership goes, that is a pipeline for advancement of healthcare. And as a result of 12 by 12 by 12 with the fees, some of our partners at our career centers, like the Grundy Area Vocational Center and the Wilco Center, we're worried about the nursing students because with 12 by 12 by 12 and the amount of hours, they would actually be paying more than they did before. So we worked with Dean Kalzak, and we're going to be able to provide their dual credit fees through this Path Grant. So again, another reason for working together and listening to one another. In the state of Illinois, there's something right now called College and Career Pathway Endorsements. And basically, if students receive this college and career pathway endorsement, it will be noted on their transcript. And basically what they need to do to get this pathway is a combination of individual learning, a career-focused instructional sequence, and a professional learning opportunity. Through our dual credit advisory boards, they said, yes, we can come to you, JJC, and we can ask you for these dual credit classes, but we would like for you to tell us what would be good. So in coordination with Patty Zuccarello, who is a consultant for Trees, she coined this name 4-Pack. And these 4 classes are what we're going to be offering as what we call a pathway. And the reason why is because they basically are courses that would cross over several areas. So in other words, if somebody wants to take those 4 classes, they could then lead them down multiple different paths. So that's our first attempt at working with this college and career pathway endorsements, as well as if somebody comes to JJC and has completed that, through working with Northern Illinois University, they will be getting a 3 credit hour class waiver for completing that CCPE. And then the 12 by 12 by 12 Foundation Scholarship. The foundation was generous enough to provide us with a scholarship that will be $500, and that will be for students that have come to JJC with 12 hours. And when they do come here, they've registered for 6 or more credit hours, and the stipulation is immediately post-graduation. So in other words, it would be right after they graduate, whether that be the summer or the fall post-graduation. The nice thing too is because of the way they apply on our award spring, one of the things that Christy Mulvey told me about is that there's foundation scholarship dollars that go unused sometimes. So via applying for this scholarship on award spring, they'll be considered for everything. So for the summer of 2023 and beyond in the dual credit office, one of the questions that we had was from Trustee Broderick. We are in the midst of right now hiring a dual credit outreach advisor, and that was just approved. That position is going to be something which will be housed at the high schools, and that will be a person that sometimes when students have questions as to why would I take this class, how will it benefit me in the future, they're going to be able to assist those students and tell them that, as well as work with the high school teachers and the high school counselors as well. So that'll be a new position, and we'll be starting to search this summer. There's a new program called Diploma and Degree Program. Very, very exciting stuff at my former institution, which was Kishwaukee College. All the time, people would call and ask us if their students could complete an associate's degree while they were in high school. So this program here will be an opportunity for Lincoln Way District students after their 4th semester or their sophomore year, combination of dual credit classes, advanced placement classes, dual enrollment, meaning it's not taught by their high school, but they could come here and potentially earn an Associate of Arts, an Associate of Science, or an Associate of Applied Science. We already discussed the NACEP accreditation. Very good news, expanding to include freshmen and sophomores. And we're going to be doing that in the fall of 2024. We want to be very strategic with that as relates to who is eligible and the maturity level and such. So we'll be working in conjunction with our advisory boards to say what those best courses might be, keeping in mind they still have to meet all prerequisites, okay? So in other words, with freshmen and sophomores, they're probably going to be taking things like that 4-pack we talked about, or possibly history, things like that, that they would be, at the maturity level for, as well as the academic level. Working with the Center for Multicultural Access and Success, and I'll be working with TRIO to go along to some of their programs in the summer to talk to them about the dual credit opportunities as well. And we have created a task force based on Dr. Namuo's recommendation to review free and reduced lunch waivers, as we had gotten a lot of feedback about concerns with schools. So that's something very new that we'll be working on. Just wanted to offer you a quick baseline number that I thought might be helpful, so that when I'm presenting in the future and you see that number go way up, you can see how things progressed. Right now, the average number of students in our district that have earned 12 credit hours before they graduate is 609, and we're only getting 297 of those, and that's statistics over the last 7 years. So my goal is a lot higher than Dr. Mackey's goal, so we've just got a wager going, a little side bet. So we'll see how it goes. But as Dr. Namuo has stated, what we're trying to really do is reach that 30% of students that don't go to college or don't really go anywhere, as well as reaching out to our underserved populations, as we talked about in some of those efforts that we've done. Just to give you a statistic, that nearly half of all Illinois high school students are from low-income families, but only 28% of those do dual credit. And over a quarter of our high school students are Hispanic, but only 16% participate in dual credit. And the situation is even more escalated for Black students, who make up 16% of our high school students, but only 9%. So again, all those outreach efforts toward that. So after I did this list, I realized that we've done a lot in a short period of time. And so I'm very appreciative of the opportunity. And I know that there's a tight agenda today, but does anybody have any questions?
And actually, Missy, before you do that, before we jump to that, again, just kudos to you for your leadership and operationalizing this grand vision behind 12 by 12 by 12. I think I want to add just a couple of things. I'll be doing a presentation at the ICCTA, in reference to the buzz among the trustees. I think that's going to, satisfy their interest in learning more about 12 by 12 by 12. So look forward to that. And again, I just want to give a shout out to the entities supporting 12 by 12 by 12. Joliet Township, if the board will remember, and for our new trustees, $25,000 in support of students who are pursuing 12 by 12 by 12. Again, a huge thanks to the foundation board, the executive committee for JJC's foundation, for allocating $500,000. You heard how we're operationalizing that. So again, to Christy and Dave Contario and Brett Gould for their leadership and support of 12 by 12 by 12. And lastly, the first 12, there's some beauty in that the 12 credits is going to differ across districts. So really just think about that, because as HLC modified its faculty credential requirements, not all districts have teachers with a master's degree in chemistry or the labs to teach organic chem or even general chemistry. So what you'll find as this rolls out is the 12 at Lincoln Way is going to be very different from the 12 in Coal City and Peatone and Newark and everything in between. And each district will have the flexibility to determine their own 12. So again, Missy, thank you so much for all of your efforts and your presentation
And I am
today.
so sorry, I forgot one piece I must have skipped over very briefly. We are also implementing new software, which is huge, and we're going to be hearing about later, and I can't believe I skipped over that. But we have some new software that we're going to be rolling out called Dual Enroll. That's going to make the efforts much more efficient, and we're going to hear more about that later. But again, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Missy,
Can I?
Trustee Harris, do you have any questions?
I don't, but thank you very much.
Trustee Broderick?
Can I add something? Because as the president of the ICCTA, we have to come up every time we're a president of our goals. And one of the goals that I had was definitely to support the 12 by 12 by 12 throughout the whole state of Illinois. So I have 48 community colleges that are waiting to hear all of the things that we are doing. And yes, Dr. Namuo has generously volunteered to be in Springfield on September 8th to do the conference on dual credit and dual enrollment. And I have a big volume of people that want to hear what it's all about. And I would think, and I'm just going to make this as a suggestion, knowing that that's one of my goals, I would think maybe we should put a committee together with a trustee on it that could at least hear what's going on so that I can share with my presidents and my chairs and my trustees when we have these quarterly meetings as to what the developments are, because they want to know, because this is going to become statewide.
Trustee Broderick, am I waiving my fee then? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you
It's
are.
volunteer,
You are,
I'm
yes.
waiving my fee?
You'll get mileage.
Okay.
You'll get mileage.
Okay, all right. I'm just learning about this now, it's volunteer.
No, you volunteered.
Oh, okay.
Say that, Maureen?
Yes, thank you.
Trustee Morales?
yes, thank you. Thank you for your report, Ms. Gillis. Quick question. So on one of your second to last screen, you mentioned that nearly half of Illinois high school students are from low-income families, but only 28% of dual credit students are from low-income families. So I don't know if you even can talk to this, but do you know what the high schools are within themselves? What are they doing to do outreach with the students? Because a lot of parents, especially like the bilingual parents at like Joliet Township High School, I don't think they know. Like, is anybody talking to the parents in Spanish, letting them know what dual credit is, how their kids qualify, really doing that grassroots outreach within the schools? Do you know if any of that's going on?
Well, that is one of the efforts that we're trying to work toward, because when Dr. Mackey had done some of her research for some committees that she was on, they interviewed some students and they said that it's never been presented to us, or maybe they only presented to students that are like at a very, very high GPA and such like that. And there's so many dual credit opportunities. There's many that have prerequisites, but there's many that are career tech focused. And so that's where our efforts started with the Black Teen Summit and the Latinx Conference, putting the brochures in both English and Spanish. And so with our dual credit outreach advisor position and we're our dual credit advisory board, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to encourage them to offer this opportunity to everyone. And to, again, like you said, with parents. Oh, and then also I'm going to be going to some parent nights. So like when the different high schools have like a parent night, yes, I'll go out and talk to them about the opportunity. And then sometimes someone at admissions, maybe I know that Bob knows about this, that we could go together if there's someone that speaks Spanish as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Trustee Dean.
No questions, just thank you for the wonderful presentation.
Trustee Mahalik.
I want to say thank you for the great presentation, and it's nice. We're excited about this program, but it's nice to find someone equally as excited as Dr. Namu about this program. And I know
Yes.
you're going to put your hardest work too, and I appreciate your report.
Been known for my excitement and my voice projecting, so.
I appreciate it. Trustee Harris. Ellis, I'm sorry.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you so much. And I wanted to thank Jake and Matt and gentlemen for the support with technology.
Jim, can I ask one more?
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, I know we say freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. Have we thought about the grade schools in 8th grade that would get them excited to go to high school? Because they have plenty of meetings of where they're deciding whether to go to a public school or a Catholic school. I think this would get them enticed to want to come on to do it in their high school. And I'm just saying
Yes.
8th grade should be,
Under
in my
the-
opinion, included, but
Under the outreach effort we talked about, that's where I'm partnering this summer with Colleen Yuramovic and doing some things like with the TRIO program. And so that side of my job, I haven't done too much with the P through 20 partnerships because I came aboard and Dr. Namuo welcomed me. I thought that was so nice. He probably comes into everybody's office and says, you know, we've got this initiative going on. And then I thought, whoa, okay, I better get going. So so we are working with the younger population. We'll continue to expand that.
And Trustee Broderick, stay tuned on that one. I want to freeze this moment in time because you'll be hearing more from the administration about that. So thank you, Missy.
All right, now to the good stuff. 1.2.7, Dr. Bob Marsink.
Longer walk today. It's a longer walk.
Today, thank you, Chairman Budzinski, Dr. Mo, board. This may be one of my set of remarks that are actually take less time than the walk up here. So actually, it probably will. I do want to, one thing I want to do is I want to introduce some of our members of our executive board who came to the meeting tonight. I think I can see them send up a smoke signal or something. Have you seen? Bill Hogan, Kurt Ward, Jeff Bradford, Rudana Jabara, and Michelle Rubel. Thank you for coming. They wanted to accompany me this evening. The only thing that I do want to thank Missy and also Bob for those really great reports. It was really nice to hear about summer numbers and fall numbers too. So that's great news for everybody. The only thing I really want to comment on is commencement, and I will make that brief too. It was just a really, really wonderful event, and it was great to see the students there, their families there, and it was also nice to get some really interesting coverage afterwards, which I will not say any more about because I have a feeling we'll hear more about that a little bit later. So, but that's really, I just want to wrap it up here because I know you have an awful lot of important business to take care of the rest of this evening. And so thank you, and we'll see you in August.
Thank you. Thank you.
1.2.8, Adjunct Faculty Union Report. Ms. Laurel Discow. You think they would have put the podium over there and cut the distance?
I was thinking it, but.
The new board day is not going to be.
That's right. Correct.
So good evening. I'll be brief. I have a couple things that I want to mention. One is I'd like to acknowledge retiree Kathy Ruge. We noted her retirement earlier. She teaches in the adult ed department, math and science. And honestly, I think it takes a special talent to work with adult ed students in both their academic pursuits and in their life challenges. And Kathy is especially good and especially talented and especially dedicated to her students. And I just want to acknowledge her service to them and to this college. The second thing is I see on the agenda that the Adjunct Faculty Center project is up for board approval tonight. And I want to thank the board for your support of that. And also thank Dr. Gray and Dr. Farmer and the others who helped make this come to fruition. We really appreciate the support and look forward to the new facility in the fall. And with that, I will wrap it up and also see you in August. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
1.3.1, approval of minutes for the regular meeting held on May 10th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Aye.
Trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
Trustee Ellis,
Yes.
Trustee Buzinski.
Yes.
Motion carries.
1.4, approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Broderick,
Aye.
Trustee Ellis,
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
Trustee Harris,
Aye.
Trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
Trustee Morales,
Yes.
Trustee Buzinski.
Yes.
Motion carries.
1.5, approval of consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
I'd like to have 2 items pulled. 3.4, page 16 of that, and 3.2.8. And I would like to make a comment, if I'm able to, that I appreciate all of the exercises about the EVP. Dr. Farmer and our CFO went through, our Karen Kissel went through for all of the items that I asked for. And if any of you, did they receive what I pulled? If you have any questions on that, it's pretty self-explanatory. I felt good with what they had provided, and I just wanted to make that comment.
Okay, we need to vote on the consent agenda. Trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
Trustee Morales,
Yes.
Trustee Broderick,
Aye.
Trustee Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
Trustee Ellis,
Yes.
Trustee Buzinski.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Three 3.2.9, sole source dual enrollment.
Was it 3.2.9 or
3.8?
8.8. I'm sorry, sole source, Aola Consulting.
Do you have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
My concern when I had this item pulled is that it's once again, and I'm sorry if I use the word babysitting, but I think it's for Villalobos' company, if I'm not mistaken. Karen, is that correct? For Villalobos? I guess I'm trying to understand why we still need someone to babysit the Workday HR system. And my concern falls into how much longer are we going to need her? How much longer do we need this service? I thought that HR was up and running. I thought with the 2 program managers that you're going to be having that we're going to, or that we're going to bring in, there shouldn't be a need. I thought we were going to be done with this person, this company by the end of June. Am I misunderstanding that?
So Chairman and Trustee Broderick, I'm going to ask Dr. Farmer to chime in here, and we may have to bring in some HR expertise. And I know Judy's here today as well, and she's involved in all that. Dr. Farmer, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Namuo. And I just want to respond to agenda item 3.28. We did have a follow-up conversation with Trustee Broderick about this particular topic. We clearly communicated that we will continue to utilize her services for a short period of time. We recognize that we're moving forward with our project managers for our restart of course, Workday. But in the transition, we continue to use her service to help us finish up some projects for human resources.
However, I understand that, but it says this is the contract term to fiscal year 2024. So that means all of 2023 and all of 2024, she's going to be with us?
That is correct.
I guess I have a problem with us going all into 2024. I would appreciate us looking at it short-term, more short-term, that like we did last time, where we did just 6 months. Because if we bring in construction managers that are going to handle both sides, why do we need to extend this fee into it? And I would make a recommendation that we look at changing that or remove this and bring it back in the August one, because is there anything going to be, I mean, unless there's something that we need to address at this point.
So I do want to clarify, she is not a project manager. She's working on specific projects specifically related to human resources. So I will definitely take that into consideration with Dr. Namuo after we have conversations with human resources.
So is this just fiscal year 24? So it's 23 to 24, so it's just this upcoming school year that we're talking?
This upcoming
Yes.
school year, correct.
Yeah, when we had previously just approved her for a couple of months, which was like 4 or 5 months, 6 months maybe at the most. So that's why I'm concerned about why we still need her. Because if HR is supposed to be running like it's supposed to, and AVAP was supposed to correct whatever and do whatever, it's like a dual payment that we're doing out here. And I have a concern that we're overpaying for services that when we have somebody that's supposed to be doing it.
So Chairman, if I may, as part of the ERP restart, one of our areas of focus and emphasis is really to optimize not only, the ongoing implementation of HR and finance in that module. And while Trustee Broderick, you're absolutely correct in acknowledging that we have yet to bring on those project managers. Lisa, through ALEC Consulting, her company has really helped us to optimize during the transition, and we're not done. So I think our recommendation is going to remain, but I would also, and I hate for this to be the first time you hear from our new CHRO, but I also recognize that we've got Judy Connolly, who works closely with Lisa. I want to invite our CHRO and our HR leadership to kind of help the board with this decision, this really important decision. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, trustees. I do want to mention that this is, we're asking for the full fiscal year, but this isn't a guarantee spend. It's an open request, and she does bill by the hour. We have been using her very minimally the last couple of months, primarily to be a direct support with our HRIS team, to answer questions, help troubleshoot, and fine tune where we need assistance. I mean, our expertise is what we've learned from our training, through AVAP and Workday. We have not yet hired anyone that has more expertise than we do, so we continue to lean in. I look at it as a contractual service for our HR team. It is not charged to the ERP budget. It would be no different than if we were contracting on compensation consulting or something like that as well.
But this would then be contractually monthly then, from what you're saying?
Yeah, it's hourly, and it can be an hour a month, or it could be, more than that, depending on what we need. It's minimally now.
So based on what I'm seeing in this presentation for the 3.2.8, it looks as though as we're going to contractual amount and the contract term to fiscal year end 2024. So can we put the verbiage in there that it is a monthly contract?
Well, it's not to exceed $36,000, right?
Not a set amount.
It's just as much as we have to use, but it's not to exceed 36,000. So we could use them like for an hour a month, and that's
But
it. So
but it says the contract term is fiscal year 2024.
Rather than coming back
well,
and
that's
being
this upcoming-
restricted.
That's this upcoming year, 23 and 24, right?
Mhm.
So
Fiscal year.
So we're not binding ourselves down to having her all of 2024 contractual.
No. And
So it's an open contract.
we could use her an hour a month, and that's all we're going to pay is an hour a month. So
Or no hours a
or
month.
no hours, yeah.
Yes.
So
How much has she been doing lately, just out of curiosity then?
Just a few. I know Krista has a standing call 2 hours a week with her, and there hasn't been a lot more the last 2 months. The
Because I
bills-
saw a
the bills-
$3,300 bill for her that was in the bills for this month.
Mhm.
That's why I'm asking
Yeah,
where our
it's
fees
been
are
like
at.
2,000, 3,000. It's not been a lot, but it's been, she is point on getting the answers to us, immediately, and being able to make the changes. And she helps with some of the things that we do jointly with payroll, student employment, some other areas as well.
And this is all related to Workday then, implementation?
Workday implementation, but the business process and fine tuning now what we need for JJC. We're only in our second year, so right now we're getting ready for our annual increases. So that's our second time. It'll be our second time in the system, and there's just things that we're testing and fine tuning every time we go through a cycle of things.
Okay, Well, I needed that better understanding that it was, that it's monthly and what you're doing, because it bothers me that we're paying somebody additional when we've already had somebody that was supposed to do the implementation for us. So, you know, as a person that approved all this stuff back in 2019, I feel a little bit committed to making sure that we're moving in the right direction and not spending much. All right,
And there's
thank-
no double, like, she's not duplicating the work that AVAP is doing. And for some more things that are related to the implementation or should have been completed as part of the implementation, we still rely on AVAP for certain things.
So does she coordinate with AVAP then too?
We usually ask her, like, she has been on calls with AVAP, but we usually kind of go and say, hey, is this something you can handle and resolve quickly? Or do you think it's part of our after service with AVAP? And she'll kind of direct us.
Okay.
So we do have tickets open with AVAP as well.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay, can we vote? Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Aye.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik?
Yes.
Trustee Ellis?
Yes.
Trustee Buzinski?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 3.4, page 16.
We need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify any misunderstanding from last month when Dr. Farmer and I seemed to be put on the hot spot of asking questions. And I'm sure that you all saw the emails with the questions that I went back and forth on this report. And I just want to give you an update of what Dr. Farmer has shared. And I think it's important that you all understand where both of us were coming from so that we didn't look like we were not on the same page. We were. The insurance report is a part of the comprehensive financial report presented to the board at the monthly meetings on the consent agenda. The report doesn't require action from the board. However, Trustee Broderick wanted to expand the report for the board's attention and for educational purposes. And that was the reason. If you go back and look at several months prior to me asking about this, it was more for informational purposes. And that's why I asked. It changes every month, where it is constantly a flowing pattern going to the budget. You look at where the numbers are at. I was looking to see where we're at, what our contributions are, where we're at with the budget. And Karen Kissler, our CFO, did a great job with Daryl and with Jeff to present this in a format that I was glad to see more detail for you all to see it too, because I had been asking, because I wanted to see, when you look at the bills every month, you see huge payments to, you know, for the medical, for HMO, the PPO, you see the vision, you see the dental, you see the pharmaceutical. This helped me feel much more comfortable in not having to constantly inquire about it. So I wanted to let you know that's why I wanted you to see it. And there really isn't any need to have, as Dr. Farmer has identified in her update too. Thank you.
Move to a vote.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Aye.
Trustee Garcia Guillen?
Yes.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Ellis?
Yes.
Trustee Buzinski?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 2.4, college employees. 2.4.1, recommending approval of workman's compensation settlement case number W002678497. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
This is the one that's being tabled. Yep.
Yeah. Motion to table.
Yep. So the
Motion to
is
table.
I'll make motion to table it.
Second.
Trustee Mahalik?
Yes.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Aye.
Trustee Garcia Guillen?
Yes.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Ellis?
Yes.
Trustee Buzinski?
Yes.
Motion carries.
3.1,
2.6,
Oh.
Mr. Chairman. That was not included on this consent agenda.
There is a
No, that's
green
okay.
sheet on it.
2.6, approval of settlement agreement. President recommends approval of a settlement agreement resolving litigation between Joliet Junior College and Joseph Yates.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Abstain?
Trustee Garcia Guillen?
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik?
Yes.
Trustee Ellis?
Yes.
Trustee Buzinski?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 3.10, Board of Trustee approval of the budget for the fiscal year 2024. I have a motion to suspend, or I'm asking for a motion to suspend the rules temporary to allow for public comment on the fiscal year 2024 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Can,
Trustee Broderick?
aye.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen?
Yes.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik?
Yes.
Trustee Ellis?
Yes.
Trustee Buzinski?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And at this time, I'd like to ask, are there any public comments for the budget for 2024?
I do have comments.
Public comments or board
Trustee,
comments?
board comments.
Okay, those will come after we return to session.
But if we're going to approve the budget, we have the ability to make comments during this period of time.
That's correct. You can include your, I mean, I think you should let the public go first and then let the board
Right.
comment second.
Right, I'm just mentioning that I do have comments.
I return to regular session for her to do that though, correct?
Well, you can do them in the public comment.
Okay.
You can do them in the public comment section. That's appropriate.
Trustee Broderick?
Good, thank you. I want to first thank Dr. Farmer, our EVP, Karen Kissler, our CFO, Jeff Heap, for all your contributions to all my questions in regards to the budget, because I did have quite a few. And I appreciate the fact that you gave me all the ups and downs of the areas that I was concerned about in regards to our property tax issues, our salary increases, and things that we were looking at for improvements of things that we could take away that were abilities to remove from the budget. And things that I wanted to make note of was there was a lot of different things that were mentioned in the budget of salary increases, and I had asked about those and how those were handled. And of course, we have repurposing that was brought to my attention of several of the functions that allowed us to hire new people in, which is a good restructuring concept to handle. It was also noted that no travel was done during this period of time, that the cost sharing of supplies was another issue of diminishing costs, and we also diminished outsourced printing, which it might seem small to you, but it's about $500,000 that was taken and removed from the budget. And also, Karen had mentioned in regards to where the surplus, because I was concerned about anything related to ERP, and I had asked where our reserves were at. And she said, we are at a very good reserve position, more so than we thought. And I do have to thank still Dr. Mitchell for doing such a good job, because that was commented both by Dr. Namuo that she had done a good job for that. But my concern was, where are we at? What would happen? Because we did the $3 increase to tuition. And it was mentioned by the Finance Committee that if we didn't do that $3, that we'd be having to do the $15. So I'm very sensitive, as I know Trustee Morales is too, in regards to tuition increase. I think we all are. So I had asked, okay, since we have a good surplus in the budget and we know that we have the ERP situation that we're handling, what is the best thing for us to focus on? And she said, the enrollment is the key thing. So with that, I am definitely focused on what we're going to do for enrollment. Can we get commitments from our chairs, from our department heads on what they're going to commit to helping us with enrollment? I know you're going to be working on the 12 by 12, but if this is something that we have to make sure that we don't have any erosion to our reserves, I think, as you had mentioned, Karen, it was definitely the enrollment and working with the 12 by 12 to make sure we had more increases in enrollment. Am I missing anything? Or did I cover everything that we had discussion on, both Dr. Farmer and yourself?
No further comments.
Well, that's good. So I just wanted to interject that because going through this whole budget it wakes you up. It makes you see what's going on. And I really thank you too for the athletic department because you heard me when I kept asking if there was enough. And being that we have all these extra sports that we've added, I think that was necessary to increase it. And Karen modified and said she had. And also anything related to us for trustees too, and for our educational purposes was added. I think that's great. So I commend you on the pluses and understand where you did with the, savings that we had. And I confirm that you did a great job. You guys did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I just want to acknowledge Anna Perry, who's the budget manager. She was really the one who's behind pulling all this information together. So she needs to be acknowledged for that. Thank you.
Well, I really appreciate our call and dealing with it because it was really helpful to me. I had a lot of things highlighted in the budget to go through. And me, I love finance. So I like to dig and understand what I'm approving. So thank you.
Any other comments? No motion to return to regular session?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Aye.
Trustee Garcia Guillen?
Yes.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Ellis?
Yes.
Trustee Bazinski?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 3.10.3, the president requests approval of the administrative recommendation for the fiscal year 2024 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Broderick?
Aye.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen?
Yes.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik?
Yes.
Trustee Ellis?
Yes.
Trustee Bazinski?
Yes.
Motion carries.
4.1, first reading of board policies.
I'll go ahead and I can
Recap them for us. Thank you.
do that, and that will serve also as the report for the board policy committee report.
Okay.
So 4.1.1, students and the public. Students and the public acknowledges students' impressions and understanding of the college have a direct influence on the public image of the college. Therefore, the administration must keep students well informed of the college programs and policies through effective forms of communication. And then 4.1.2, investment policy, investment of funds, states the college's investment procedure and applies to all JJC funds. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
4.3, approval of 2024 through 2027 strategic plan.
So moved.
Second.
Comment?
Comments?
I'd like to make sure that we do note that the strategic plan, when we identify the goals for Dr. Namuo, are in coordination with our strategic plan and with the cabinet's plans for the college. So I'm just making that as a comment so that we move forward with that.
Thank you.
Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen?
Yes.
Trustee Harris?
Yes.
Trustee Broderick?
Aye.
Trustee Mahalik?
Yes.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Ellis?
Yes.
Trustee Bazinski?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 4.4, agenda request by a trustee. Karen, could you read the policy on that for us?
Per board policy 01.45.01, agenda preparation, any trustee may request that an item to be placed on a future board agenda. The agenda item requested by the trustee allows the board to discuss the agenda item being requested. It will then be determined by a non-binding majority poll whether to direct the president to add the requested item to a future agenda.
At this time, I ask any of the trustees, do you have anything you would like to add to the agenda? Maureen?
I do. I have found through my chairs of the ICCTA group, which is a lot of the colleges, that they have an open discussion for the Board of Trustees to discuss things or bring things up. That's a recommendation because every trustee should have an opportunity to bring something up or share something. And this would give us an opportunity for discussion of things that have occurred, whether it be politically, with things that they've done politically with people to support the college, or activities that we've been to that will support JJC. It gives us an opportunity to allow the board to bring things back that they'd like to share. That's one of the items. Another one that I'm going to ask if we can do, I know that the police department is doing some expansion in regards to getting ready to train, from what I understand, with monitors and a new, is it a sergeant? What did we call that?
We have a new job for an administrative sergeant.
Right.
As we talked, the police department is in the process of being accredited, and there's a lot of trainings that go with that. So one of the roles or one of the functions that this person is going to have is just making sure that the trainings are up to date. We also know that in the future, I think it's 2025, I'm sure Chief will correct me if I'm wrong, that our police officers need to wear body cameras, and just all of the processes that go around with that. So this person is going to be focused on supporting accreditation and all the trainings for the department.
And I'm just looking to see, because every month we have a report on what happens in the police department. If there's a theft or whatever, there's a little boxes that get checked. But now that we're doing that, and being that Representative Benton mentioned that when he and I and Trustee Harris were together meeting with him on lobby days, he was very anxious to see that. He already had understanding that it was going to take place. So if Brandon could give some type of a presentation for us to allow us to know what it entails and what all the, what did you call those things, those monitor things?
Are you talking about the body camera?
Yeah, the body cam. There's going to be body cameras now too, and whatever they're doing. I mean, it seems like it would be nice to know more of what the police department does that we're doing. That was number 2. Number 3 was, I know you provide us with a calendar of events on your weekly report to us, but there's a lot of things that are still missing. Could we somehow get the calendar of events that are with activities for chamber meetings, I mean, we've got the school board meetings, but chamber meetings, parades, things of that nature. So dear Karen, I know she does a great job in alerting us and keeping us in mind of what's going on. But I did notice that the 18th and 19th of August weren't on your calendar, which is the executive meeting that we have here at the college. So I wanted to make sure that we are all inclusive. So that's why I'm bringing this up. And then I don't know if you saw that that was given to you too. I had asked Karen about some questions, and you went back to who on the RFP?
Matt Stevenson.
Matt Stevenson. And he answered a lot of questions. But I think this would be something good because we've had concerns about RFPs and how they're done. I think instead of us always having to pull something and ask something, and you guys should have a good little picture of this that I asked, of the questions I asked. And I think maybe it would be good so that we could learn how the RFPs, the questions that I've raised, maybe that it could be in a presentation of some sort to us. And those are my concerns.
Okay, so for future agenda items, though, these are specific requests.
Right, for that.
So you're asking for a report from Brandon, a report for the RFP, calendars.
Right.
Do all these need a board agenda item, or can some of them just be answered if we requested them through the president?
Well, I think this is just my own thought. If we have them in the board book, that would be great, that we would see them for informational purposes so everybody would see it. But that way it would be something, I think, that, for the open discussion, that would be an item on the agenda. As far as the calendar of events, then we could see what's coming up for the month, for the following month, or the next month. It would just help. And then Dr. Namua wouldn't have to worry about giving us that. We'd have that present to us, or somehow email it to us. That one I could see emailed.
Okay.
Dr. No, can you just share your password for your calendar with me, please?
Yes, it's 808.
What was that?
It's a Hawaii's area code. So, Chairman, if I may go.
Well, just one more thing though.
Yeah.
As far as the request for information on the police, I think she's asking for a presentation
Correct,
by the chief.
correct.
It's a one-time agenda item. Time frame, he has 2 months.
Chairman, I've got a suggestion. If it's if the board can develop consensus around this, I'm always looking for ways to highlight, what our campus police do to keep us safe and keep college community safe. Procurement and that process, I understand, has been an interest of the board for quite some time. As you take your fiduciary responsibilities very seriously. We completely understand that both of those areas do fall under Karen Kissel. What I would offer to the board, perhaps it's an opportunity to highlight all of the different functions under Karen's area, and we can provide a concise report. Allow me to work with the chair in terms of whether that happens in August or September.
Right, I'm
Because
just
I think
bringing.
we've got some others.
Yeah.
So if it's good with the board, I think we'll plan an overall finance and administrative services presentation in either August or September. Does that sound good?
That would be good.
Okay.
That would be- I have no problem with that. I just bringing it up because when you see the increase on the budget and you look at it, and she shared with me that there was another staff and why it was, and how State Rep Benson mentioned it, I thought that was important to bring back to the board, because if he mentioned it and he's aware of it, and it's something that he's looking to see that us do, he wants to send more people here to us to be trained. So if that's going to become that, I think we should know about it. And then, there was one thing I missed too, Jim. I know that we have, all of a sudden, I've seen in the board book on our bills, different things for like signs and for things that that aren't media, but are more so like what are in the community. Like we have a flashing board, or what is that, a media?
A billboard?
Yeah, it's 3 of them, you said?
Electrical
boards. So we have 3 electrical boards. We have flags that are standing up in the communities. We have acknowledgements in books or whatever on things. If we could just get an idea, as a marketing update to us, just to tell us where we're at. Because I know my chamber is going to get upset they don't have something of JJC in their commons, but Grundy Chamber does. So I want to make sure we're all on the same page to know where it is, and if there's anything that we can spread, to know about.
So I'm going to circle back to the beginning. You're asking for an agenda item each month to be a discussion.
It's more of if you want to put it in like the financial report is, just to tell us what it is or give us a quarterly update, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'd like to recommend an agenda item.
Okay. Let's answer her question real quick.
So, Chairman, if I may, if I'm understanding correctly, I think we can satisfy the interest in a number of different ways. If the board will recall, we had Kelly Roeder-Tonelli do a comprehensive marketing and communications and strategic engagement update in January of this year. Fantastic presentation. It could be an opportunity to bring Kelly back to provide more information. We could also do this as an ongoing report presented to the board. If that's the consensus, I think that's probably what I would prefer.
Right.
Unless something is, really hot and happening that the board needs to be aware of and highlighted. So written report sent to you digitally. Does that work?
That would work. That would work.
Just to be clear.
That would work.
All right. Sounds good. And then the calendar of events, we will work on improving that and populating it with additional items. And I see Kelly sort of taking note of that. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
And then when I asked about the RFP thing, that would fall under Karen then?
Yep.
So she would be able to, then you could utilize this then, Karen? That would be great.
Okay. Thank you.
Would education on the RFP be a workshop item versus a board item?
Well, I think because of everything that happened with reading the RFP from our ERP system, I think I've learned more in dealing and talking with everything regarding ERPs and details, roadmaps, understanding what we're putting in it. I think we need more of an education as trustees to know what is really being put into it, who's writing it, and then who ends up being on these committees, because we don't know. we're trusting. And, you know, I think in order for us to trust going further, we need to understand more. And that seems to be the understanding what trustees are saying when they're talking about RFPs, because we don't really know who puts what in, who puts the details in, how are we matching up these details? Is it in the best interest of the college when you get the results of who's responded to the RFPs? And that's why I asked you those specific questions related to it, because I do have a concern. I want to make sure that we're not jeopardizing anything with the college and that we do have a good system put into place. And I know that was something with the ERP that we looked at and said we should re-examine it.
Yes. And same question, though. I know we all learned on the RFP, but
right,
is that a workshop item versus a board item?
It could be a workshop
meeting. It should be a workshop.
It could be a workshop.
Dig
Yeah,
as deep as we can.
It could be. It could be
So
very
I'd
well.
like to see that as a workshop item.
Yeah, and just so you know too, all of you know, in November at the Schaumburg meeting for the ICCTA, we are having an ERP RFP meeting for full detail of how to do an RFP and how to identify an ERP system. So this would be great if we could have that prior to, because we have 6 panelists that are going to be on doing this, and we've invited every cabinet member, CIO out there that we can think of, because the schools are really wanting to know more. Thank you.
Chairman, if I may, just for clarification, and I think maybe this is a request, we may end up, as opposed to having it as a specific workshop item, since it's financial related, we may add some additional financial components to that, if the board's okay with that. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
So how does the board feel about an open discussion item on the agenda each month?
We can keep it to a time limit. That'd be fine, because these meetings are really getting long.
I agree.
Okay.
1 minute each, so straight. Okay.
Well, this is the last meeting before the new calendar fiscal year starts. So unfortunately, we had a lot in this one, but I think we can get it done.
Okay.
We'll try it out. I'll agree with it then. We can always modify it as we move, so.
Perfect.
Is everyone okay in the audience with that?
We can always excuse them.
I can't even see in the back room. Bob, is that you?
But just as a hint, it's always like at the end of the agenda. That way, if anybody wants to get up and leave, we can always let them, remove themselves if they want.
Okay, so
we can move on.
We got it.
Alicia.
We've got it.
Oh,
that's right.
Trustee Morales, you had
Yes,
something you wanted to add?
I'd like to propose an agenda item. Maybe I'm tired, so I'm not even thinking right, but I'd like to maybe work with Trustee Lee on a policy where if we need information, it's currently not a policy, but if the board member requires information, that we have to be considerate of the operations of the staff and the cabinet and give them at least 48 or more hours to time to respond. We shouldn't come the day or two before the board meeting and give them a list of things that we need. We should give them, they are very busy people, they have a lot going on, give them time, and we don't have a policy, and I think we need one.
Well, that's policy development though, right?
Yes, that's why I want to work with Trustee Lee on that. And the policy committee.
I agree with that. That sounds reasonable, so.
Well, my question on that, just out of curiosity then, because I'm trying to understand, are we still having where either Dr. Namuo or our chair calls us in regards to anything prior to the meeting so that we have?
They can, but there's nothing saying we cannot call the chair or the president. But even the president, give him 48 hours, like before the actual day of the meeting, to call him. Let's say if I called him yesterday with a bunch of questions, it's we kind of, I'm sure he'd do his best to get to it, but we should give him a little bit more time.
Well, I know, and I know you had done that prior with Dr. Mitchell, where sometimes you were short, but I think if we are still going back to the same habit of you contacting us on Friday then, Dr. Namu, like you were doing, or not? Or did you eradicate that?
Eradicate.
We're gonna, you know what, let us revisit that, because there's been things that he can't control his calendar completely when other things he's invited to. So let him and I work on that, and we'll come up with a strategy for that.
Okay.
It may be in his absence, it's gonna be me. We can still have the communications, we just can't hold him to a hard schedule if he, he's committed to other things outside the campus, so.
Well, I know, and he committed to that when he came on, so that's
Yes.
why I'm just asking where the communication lies right now. So
Well, you can always call too. If
Yeah.
you have a question, don't wait. Just
No,
call.
I know where she's going. And the consensus of the board was we really like that Friday call.
Right.
However, it may not make sense in all monthly timeframes,
Mhm.
because 30 people add to his calendar, probably more than that. But with that many people adding to his calendar, he just can't block off a day. So you're going to work on the policy committee and then come
Yes.
back to us? It won't be an item for the next
Correct.
agenda, though?
That's
Well,
Okay.
I mean, based on the board's policies, it'll go through policy committee. So
Right.
it'll come to you on a first read.
Correct.
It'll come to you on a second read. So you'll look at it like you would any other policy.
correct.
Perfect. Thank you. Anything to add, Jake?
I think we're in good shape.
Trustee Ellis? Okay, 5.1, President's Report.
All right. Chairman Budzinski, thank you. Members of the board and the college community, I'll just wait 1 second for the presentation to pop up here. I want to thank the board for your support of any number of things. First, allow me to take a moment to introduce our new CHRO. Aileen Maka comes to us from a variety of different industries. Aileen, will you stand and be recognized? I think a round of applause. I want to again commend Judy for her effort stepping into the interim role for as long as she did, and welcome Aileen to the cabinet team and look forward to her contributions here at JJC. Rumor has it she feels right at home. That rumor was started by me. I want to commend the board for passing the budget this year. It represents a number of strategic investments in some very key areas. You've heard from some of them today: the dual enrollment, dual credit, outreach, some investments in campus police, among many other things. We're adding some new positions, some new faculty positions in some key areas, and just again, echo Trustee Broderick's kudos to Karen and her team for putting together a budget under the direction that the budget should be balanced, that we are not raising tuition, we are not raising property taxes this year. So to accomplish all of those things, to make those strategic investments the way we did, Karen, you've got to be commended for all of that. So thank you. Thank you very much. I want to acknowledge the board's passing of our strategic plan, which will drive a lot of what we do, and commend Dr. Farmer for her leadership in that area. As the plan is distributed more widely, and I would encourage you as a board to pay close attention to every single bullet under all 5 objectives or pillars, because they will chart our course forward, and resource allocation will of course follow. Allow me to celebrate the passage of Illinois State FY24's budget. And I've taken the liberty of highlighting a couple of things. I've acknowledged both Joliet Township's support of 12 by 12 by 12, the JJC Foundation's support of 12 by 12 by 12. And when Dr. Gray referenced that, 12 by 12 by 12 is starting to be known, the Illinois Community College Board, in addition to ICCTA, recognizes the value, or rather the potential, of 12 by 12 by 12. This represents a specific allocation to JJC. The state of Illinois allocated $150,000 in support of the vision around 12 by 12 by 12. So I just want to really send a shout out to our delegation, our legislators, our ICCB partners working in close partnership with the ICCTA leadership and the Illinois Council of Community College Presidents as well. Sort of that three-headed monster really helped to move the state budget forward to benefit community colleges. And when I first presented this to the board, you'll recall I celebrated a 7% increase in state funding to community colleges. Well, lo and behold, that's what came out of the legislative process, a 7% increase to state allocations for community colleges. So certainly something to be celebrated. And you'll also recall that I celebrated the proposed budget allocating $100 million additional dollars in MAP funding. That's another thing that needs to be celebrated because JJC administers and distributes millions in MAP funding. And that number, the cap went up to, I believe, close to 11,000. I'm looking at Roberto. I think it's something like 10,900. So really something to be celebrated. A great time to be leading in the community college space, to be attached to community colleges, and more specifically, JJC. I do want to send a special shout out to Representative Avalar. So while many of our delegation, we were in close communication with all of our delegates and all of our reps and state senators, Representative Avalar reached out specifically for capital projects, and Karen and Yolanda got together and put together a whole list of capital projects. And at the top of that list of capital projects was a mental health and wellness project. I'm going to hold off on calling it a facility, but it's going, it's a project right now. So we were allocated $250,000, and just a huge shout out to Representative Avalar for making that possible. Lots of things to celebrate as it relates to the state budget. I want to let the board know that I've recruited Tiana to participate with me in some service projects. And for those of you who know her, it's reluctant. But I said, we're going to plant fruit trees as part of the Joliet Rotary Service Project, and it's going to benefit food pantries around Joliet. So that's the thing that kind of got her to participate with me. We planted some fruit trees at the National Hookup of Black Women Garden. These 27 garden beds will provide food for local pantries. And Tiana, if you're listening, which she's not, but it's recorded, just want to thank her for participating. Now, here we are in the event center. You saw some pickup games going on behind us. I mean, this spring semester, this academic year rather, was a time of great success for our athletic teams. Our softball team went to the national championships. Our baseball team went to the national championships. In the lower left-hand corner, you see our regional champions baseball team. And over on the right-hand side, lower right corner, trustees, you're aware that this is the first year that we've had track and field, and we go out and the women's team places third in the country, bringing back the third place trophy. So there's a lot of things to celebrate in sports, and again, want to congratulate all of our leadership, Roberto, Angie, athletic director Greg Brown, for everything they're doing to ensure that our athletic teams are successful. And again, commend the board for your investment in athletics. Just really a lot to celebrate. We did take an opportunity to celebrate our facilities and campus police in an event we called Party After Dark, which, as you can see, was not dark exactly, but it was indeed a party. So I'm not sure how Jake Van Dyne got up. Pat's in there. Okay. So you see Jake, Pat, Chief, and a lot of other staff, just an opportunity to thank them. I'm really thankful that here at JJC, we have artifacts of this philosophy that we are indeed people before we're employees, and we pay a lot of respect to our employees, and this is just another one of those efforts. So thank you to everyone who made that possible. And as we kick off our launch out west, there are a couple of events I wanted to highlight for the board that I was able to attend. The Procter & Gamble ribbon cutting, I believe this happened on May 31st, actually June 4th, excuse me. Procter & Gamble's facility in Morris is their flagship fulfillment facility. It's 1.3 million square feet, and much of it is completely autonomous. Forklifts are autonomous. The conveyor belts and picking system that they use, fully autonomous as well. So really a great event. The who's who of the Morris community and the Grundy County community was there, and a lot to celebrate. And thanks for Procter & Gamble for the invite out west. As a reminder to the board, I serve on the YMCA's board, and the Joliet YMCA is also expanding out west in addition to Procter & Gamble. So you'll see just the groundbreaking for their facility. Over on the right-hand side, you see a mock-up of what the Morris Hospital YMCA is going to look like. Groundbreaking starts now. That was, I believe, a $19 million investment in the Grundy County and Morris communities. So again, I think we're headed in the right direction, and commend the board and thank the board for your support of that important initiative. I hear many of the leaders in the audience laughing because they're remembering what happened in this room. This is really just a preview of an activity I'd like to take the board through. I will not label it, but it's an activity around design thinking under the umbrella of design thinking, and very more specifically prototyping. So my interest really is, and this is something we did at the cabinet, and I presented pictures at the cabinet retreat earlier this year. These are some of the tools we'll be using to make good ideas great, to make great ideas and turn great ideas into extraordinary initiatives. And these are the tools we're using to do all of the big things you're seeing. So thanks for the President's Leadership Council, the larger and broader leadership team, for humoring me on that day. And as Dr. Marsig mentioned, yes, we are absolutely going to highlight commencement, a very special night. And we did indeed go viral with Benny and his family, and really just want to give a shout out. And I know I did this in one of my weekly reports, but to Kelly Roeder Tonelli, to Katie Smith, who made an effort to put us into a position whereby we could go viral. The video on ABC has gone 6 million, but that was maybe 2 weeks ago. It's most likely up to 8, possibly 10 million views. We got a lot of exposure from that video, but it was not by chance. The news crews didn't just show up. This was a strategic effort on the part of marketing and communications and strategic engagement to ensure that this story went viral across the state and nationally as well. We've been hearing from national entities about all of this coverage. I want to throw some numbers out to you as a board so you're aware. We awarded 2,625 credentials. 2,625 credentials, about 1,200 degrees, about 1,400 certificates, to 1,784 graduates. And that's really what it's all about, right? So what a great night. And for those of you who might not have been able to attend, I'm going to play a video of, I think, what will be a tradition at commencement.
I want to honor the energy in this room. And I want to connect our graduates to their supporters. Can we get the house lights down? Audience, I'd like you to do this. Let's show these graduates how much they mean to us. Will you take out your cell phones and turn on your flashlights? I want them to feel the love and support from all of you. Congratulations to the extraordinary class of 2023 at Joliet Junior College.
Now, trustees, if you've seen any pictures of this, know that Hank Brockett was above us, behind us, climbed all the way in the rafters to get all of the pictures you see. So really incredible moment, a lot to be celebrated there. So Chairman, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Item 5.2, representative to the JJC.
Next time we're here, we'll move it.
Okay. Let's get your work on. Good evening, Chairman Badinsky and Board of Trustees. A couple of fun things happened today on campus. First of all, this morning at 10 o'clock, Midland State Bank presented CMOS and our president with $15,000 to endow the Jewel Dennis Men of Color Scholarship. It brought us to the endowment level. Jewel worked for the college for over 25 years and just had a real vision of helping men of color receive funds they need to get their education at the college. Jewel's family was there this morning. We were able to be with them, and we're very excited that that has now become a reality as far as an endowment is concerned. Last month, I told you that our 50th anniversary of the foundation scholarship endowment was at $29,000. Tonight, I say it is at $42,485. My goal is to raise $50,000 in honor of the 50 years that the foundation has been here to support the college. This afternoon, we had a fun event called Popsicles on the Patio. Everybody who gives to the foundation is invited campus-wide to join us on the patio. We've done root beer floats before. Today it was popsicles, and we had about 60 people come by our office and have popsicles and some camaraderie and pick our basket of the month for our employee giving. The majority of our scholarship applications for fall have been scored and will begin to be awarded so that funds are on the student's account by the first drop date. And Vice Chair Morales, one of the comments that you made earlier about what do students do if they can't fill out the FAFSA or they're not able to fill out the FAFSA, I guarantee you that every department on the first floor of the A building forwards them to me and to my office. And right now, I'm proud to say that 30% of the scholarships that we give away go to students that don't fill out a FAFSA, don't qualify for FAFSA. Many of them are undocumented. And we know that that number has increased every year. So we're really proud of that. Hopefully you've all received the Spring Connections magazine, which is our annual report for the college and for the foundation. It's a joy for our department to work with communications and marketing on this piece. It goes out to 28,000 friends, family, and alumni. And I want to thank our editor of the magazine, Kelly Roder-Chinelli, for all her hard work. This issue actually highlighted the 50th anniversary of the foundation, which you know we'll celebrate Friday, September 15th at the Rialto Square Theater. And there's some great articles, if you have a chance to see, just about the history of the foundation and all the people that really came together 50 years ago to make this a reality. The next foundation meeting is our executive committee meeting next Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. And that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Christy, this is for the 50th anniversary from me. Thank you.
Item 5.3, representative to the ICCTA.
Michelle left me some information, and so I'll just say a few words from her and then for myself.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So as the alternate, speaking for the delegate of ICCTA, Michelle Lee says, for those in our audience who are unfamiliar, the Illinois Community College Trustee Association hosts various conferences for professional development and training purposes. We recently attended a full-day training seminar. Some of the topics we routinely cover are the Open Meetings Act, FOIA, financial oversight and accountability, fiduciary responsibility of a trustee, and collective bargaining. This year, we also discussed preventing and addressing sexual violence on campus. Overall, I felt all of the speakers were very informative as well as relevant to current issues we face. And then on Friday evening, she says, we attended an awards dinner for faculty and students. Congratulations to everyone who was nominated and won. And thank you for the time and dedication to JJC. And on Saturday, we all were able to attend the gavel passing for our trustee, Maureen Broadway. So I enjoyed the whole conference and I look forward to going back again. And I just want to say Maureen's speech at the conference was really nice. You can tell that she has her heart in it, and I look forward to working with her as an alternate.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
I want to thank you for that. It was a very great, the meeting was on Saturday, which unfortunately Michelle missed. So there's not a lot of detail that was not given. But I think that it is imperative that we know what's going on with the ICCTA. And just to mark your calendars, 8/18 and 8/19 is the executive session that all of you are invited to, since it's going to be here held on JJC's campus. We have activities scheduled for full tours with the executive group from the ICCTA, which will be about 40 to 50 people. We're looking into the tour, then the meeting, then possibly a tour of either the prison or of the museum, and then dinner at 158. And we plan on having lunch. We're hopefully at the Renaissance Center for lunch. And then the meeting will be on Saturday. And then mark your calendars for September 8th for Springfield, dual credit, dual enrollment with our own president, Dr. Namuo. Once again, you get those credits. And then on November 10th and 11th is the next quarterly meeting. And that will be up in Schaumburg, which will be on the ERP and RFP issues. And of course, I am going to definitely share this with regards to the ACCT meeting that is, whoops.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. You scared the heck out of me, which is in Vegas, October 9th through 12th. And we need to get signed up for that with Karen when she returns. And then something that I forgot to mention last meeting as the ICT rep then, that Dr. Namuo mentioned in his letter, which was the Decennial Committee on Local Government Efficiency, which is Public Act 102-1088, called the Act requires all units of local government that may levy a tax, exempt municipalities and counties to convene a decennial committee on local government efficiency to study local efficiencies and report recommendations regarding efficiencies and increased accountability to the county board of the county in which the unit of local government is located. We fall under that because it said, who must the decennial committee be formed by? For all units of local government, everything but no K through 12. So that includes us because we're higher education. The next question was, who is required to serve on the decennial committee? Deadline to form committee is 6/10/2023. All trustees, that means all of us, are supposed to be on the committee, the president and 2 residents of the district. And they recommend anyone from the foundation membership that could be a good source to be considered for those other 2 individuals. What should the decennial committee charge or purpose be? What should the decennial committee focus on? 5 criteria must be identified on this report on what we think is the need to come back to the county board with. So that has to be developed by the committee. What should be included in the decennial committee's report? What is the decennial committee's required to do with the final report? Is there a deadline for sending the final report? Are colleges, community colleges, required to go through the decennial committee process again in the future? If so, how does the process work? 18 months to complete from date committee was organized. And I think Dr. Farmer, you're in charge of that, the decennial committee?
No, unfortunately, I'm not in charge of that.
Who's
so that
in charge
would
of
be Roberto.
Oh, Roberto is good,
Valadez,
Roberto.
our Vice President for Student Development.
Good. So they said 18 months to complete from date that it was organized. So we as trustees need to be included in that. And 10-year limit for reviewing it again. And they're hoping to remove higher education was one of the things that we are pushing through our lobbyists to make sure that we don't have to do this again, because it's a bit ridiculous, right? I should say unneeded. Roberto?
No comment on that, but
Yeah, I was just about to jump in.
we just want to make sure that we take the time to go over our policies, procedures, making sure that we're working in an efficient manner and operationally we're there. So I'm excited to be leading this committee.
And is the committee totally formed with the two outside people?
Yes, we have, we sent the names and we will bring it to the Board of Trustees meeting in August.
Great, thank you
But
so
it's
much.
everything we comply with the.
Great, well, I just thought I'd mention that since that was part of what they brought to us last month in the meeting and made sure that we brought it back to you guys, so I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Five point four, student trustee report.
Hello and good evening, everyone. We successfully made it through another school year. Congratulations. I'm excited to share some of the amazing things that took place coming to the end of spring semester, as well as other events I've had the opportunity to attend so far this summer. Stress Relief Week was a complete success. It took place May 8th through the 11th, and students enjoyed various activities. To name a few, there is biofeedback heart math with our wellness advocates, where students had the opportunity to learn how to control their breathing with their hearts, as well as create sensory bottles, which were a big hit. We had the splatter paint with the Sustainability Union, where students came together and painted canvases, tote bags, and t-shirts. And test-taking tips with the TLC, where students headed up to the Tutoring and Learning Center and received various test-taking tips. Thank you to the TLC, Word Eaters, Sustainability Union, our wellness staff, and the Office of Student Activities for providing these events for us to help us de-stress before finals. We had therapy dogs and PB&Js that took place May 15th and 16th, and we had over 160 students to attend. Again, thank you to everyone who volunteered. The JJC Players Free Haircuts event took place May 10th and 11th. JJC Players Club hosted the new barbershop, The Convention on campus, and over 60 students and staff members received free haircuts. The Blazer was last issued May 4th, and I would like to say thank you to Dr. Marsink, as well as every student who assisted in the Blazer this past school year. You all kept students informed on things happening both on campus and in our communities, and you also provided a space for student clubs to promote various events. I look forward to seeing what all you do next year. CMOS graduation and transfer celebration took place Wednesday, May 10th. It was a pleasure celebrating my peers' accomplishments and hearing the stories of 4 students who overcame obstacles and defied the odds. Thank you to Aurelie, Juliana, Miss Giovanna, and Linda Miller for sharing your stories with us. Graduation. We celebrated the achievement of 579 graduates ranging in age from 12 to 70 years old. Years old. Thank you for including me in the process, and it was amazing to be able to participate in celebrating my peers' big achievement. The ICCTA conference. I attended June 2nd and 3rd, and I thoroughly enjoyed every moment, from the training to engaging with other student trustees and leaders of academic institutions. Congratulations to Trustee Broadwick on becoming the new ICCTA president.
Thank you.
CMOS Men of Excellence Conference took place June 9th and 10th at Purdue University Northwest. I spoke to a few students who were in attendance, and they said they enjoyed seeing a group of their peers coming together for the greater good of self-improvement. Thank you to Mr. Butler and CMOS for supporting students and making this experience possible. The Congressional Black Caucus Summer of Action Tour took place Saturday, June 10th, and myself, as well as Gabrielle King, had the opportunity to represent JJC in a panel discussion with the Congressional Black Caucus. Some of the topics discussed were mental health, voting, and violence. And thank you to Kelly Roder Tinelli, Representative Lauren Underwood, and the Congressional Black Caucus for including us. The Office of Student Activities will still be hosting events this summer. There will be free HIV testing, a summer kickoff bash that will be taking place Tuesday, June 20th from 11 to 1 p.m. at the Picnic Grove, where we'll be having yard games, shaved ice, and John Rush the Human iPod, as well as a free outdoor hiking trip to Waterfall Glen in Lamont, Illinois on Tuesday, June 27th from 12 to 4 p.m. OSA will also be having its last grab and go of the summer, Monday, July 3rd, and we'll be providing free snacks to students from 7:30 to 9 a.m. as well as 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. And OSA will also be having its last popcorn pop-up of the summer, July 13th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Students must be enrolled in at least one JJC summer class to participate in OSA events. Thank you all for your time and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Item 5.5, Building and Grounds Report.
Well, Trustee Ellis is going to do double duty. She sits on the committee with me, and she said she'd like to give that report tonight too as well.
So the CDB project there's no movement at the moment, and once we hear back, we'll be able to give an update. The Environmental Health and Safety Office remodel will be approved in August. The replacement for the G building switchgear is currently in progress. The parking lot improvements will be finished soon. There was a delay due to the weather, and our exterior wall facade repairs should be done in about 2 weeks. And the boardroom days is coming along well, and we should be back in the boardroom for the August meeting.
She's as quick as me too. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
5.7, Finance Committee Report.
Can you go back to 5.6? I'd like to add something since Michelle's not here. I'd like to add something since Alicia had mentioned something in the things for agenda for requests. I'm looking for board policy. I think we need policies for the protocols for establishing committees for the board, so that because there was a protocol that was in place, and it's usually in May that the executive secretary hands out a sheet of paper that gives each of us board members an opportunity to say which 3 committees we'd like to be on, put your top, second, and third. And then the chair normally talks to each one of us to make an assessment. And then in June, the agreed upon between the board chair and the trustees is decided on what the board committee that they sit on. And seeing that you did put a student trustee on one in this, and I'm no knocking to you, just so you understand, we've never had a board a student trustee on. We've always had the elected trustees on those. So I think we need to go back to re-identifying that, because in all of the time we've never had a student trustee. If I'm not mistaken, Dr. Farmer?
This is correct.
Thank you. So, I mean, I think we need to go, because since I'm not sitting on any committee and would like to sit on a committee, I think we need to assess protocols for that, because it's supposed to be where the chair does talk to each one of us and assess which one we want to be on. And it's a mutual agreement. Thank you.
Because that's not in the policy now, so that would be a request for policy.
It was an understood thing that that's what was done. So yes, I want to go back and make sure that we do put it into policy.
5.7, Financial Committee Report.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Karen, Jeff, and Daryl. Another balanced budget. What's it make? How many years is it now?
I think it's 51
years. Sounds good. Appreciate all the hard work. I know that's not easy to do. And then also we did improve the Shanahan TIF extension for the with Ox Sable settlement agreement. So that was in the thing. So that's nice to see us partner with the community, make sure that everyone's happy in our area. So, but again, thanks for all the hard work, Finance Committee, and I'll be short and sweet too, because I know it's nice and late. So,
Hey, thank you. Last item is the chair report. And as you can tell, I've been coughing all afternoon, but I did come straight here from the doctor. I tested negative for COVID, negative for strep. He said it's my allergies and that my throat was closed, and that's why I can't breathe. So in light of that, I would like to have read something that Trustee Garcia Guillen's going to read to me. But before she does that, I just want to pile on to all the compliments for graduation and how exciting that evening was. I talked to quite a few people afterwards. The excitement just carried over into the hall afterwards, and we don't know what those people will become as they move on in their lives, but we do know that they leave with a great foundation they got from here. And I had mentioned in the last chair report at the last meeting, I wanted people to look at JJC and ask, what are we doing? And we had a lot of feedback from both members of the cabinet and staff about people coming up to them and asking them. Dr. Gray mentioned that she got bombarded with questions as soon as they realized who she was, and that's what we envisioned is, people want to see what we're doing, following our footsteps, but we want to be out in front. So we have a nice letter written by an uncle of one of the students, but I'll let Trustee Garcia Guillen read it for us.
Thank you. Hello, I live in Will County, Plainfield specifically. My nephew graduated the other day from JJC. My family and I were unable to attend, but my sister shared the link to live stream the graduation. What an amazing event production. I wanted to give a congratulations to whatever group put on the production from a technical point of view and managing it. Wow, it was amazing to watch with every kid's name being put on the screen, and we were able to hear everything. I feel like I was in the graduation. It was excellent. Thank you for making this available. My whole family logged in from Seattle and Boston and locally. Great job, JJC, and the department and group that did the graduation. Great job, and thank you, board members, for your service to JJC. Thank you.
So that simple letter congratulates so many people on the staff. And so, yes, we are national now. And I believe that concludes our meeting for the evening.
Jim, can you pass this out? Because I know all of us that went in training got the information on welcome to the board from the ICCT
Yes.
lessons that we were trained on. And I think Jake needs one. I think Nancy, you already had one. Jim had one. Alicia, and yeah, you got one too.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.